All right, this is going to be just a quick tutorial on how to use Google Sheets. We're going to look at just the basic data setup, how to type in formulas for basic math calculations. There's some built-in formula commands that you can use to simplify things. And then the main thing is I want to show you how to make a bar graph using error bars. So I know you know what a bar graph is, but error bars are a way of showing either the standard error or a confidence interval around the mean in a bar graph. So I'll show you a few things about editing your graph as well. So this is for Google Sheets. You can do it on Excel almost exactly the same way. And both are freely available to Augustana students. So here's where you begin. You go to your Google Drive and ask for a new sheet. Okay, now the first thing is I'm going to enter data for two columns. This represents data about the Rotten Tomatoes critic rating for an original movie and the sequel from the same franchise. And because this is matched data, I need to have things lined up because I will be doing a t-test on it a little bit later. So the Godfather series, 1 and 2. Here's the Hangover 1, the Hangover 2, Men in Black 1, and Men in Black 2. And I'm going to add 10 of these, so I'll hit pause and come right back. Okay, I'm back. I've got my data entered. What I'm going to do here, just to help keep track of things, I'm going to highlight those bottom two ones. I'm going to go up here to this icon, which stands for borders. I'm going to hit that button right there, which gives me an underline. That helps me see where my data cuts off. All right, to do basic calculations, there's a couple ways of doing it. Let me show you an easy way to do this. I'm going to calculate the mean and standard deviation. So for the mean, what I'm going to do is find the box where I want to look at the mean. This sigma here gives me some functions that are set up, and I'll just type in or select average, and it gives me a preset formula, and I just click and select that column, and notice that the formula is completed, and I can hit that. Right here you can also type that in, so I'll do the exact same thing except typing it in. So I'll hit equal, and since I already know the command is average, type that in, parentheses. This is square C2, it's column C, row 2. So put C2 colon all the way down to C11. So there. So I found the mean for each of these. This one just by clicking the function here. Here I typed in the exact same function rather than selecting it from the list. Either way works. For standard deviation, I'm going to go up here. Notice it's not listed in the top 5, so I'm just going to go to the all. Scroll down until I see standard deviation. It offers several varieties. We just want plain standard deviation down here. There it is, standard deviation. So I select that. And there we go. Boom. And then I also want standard error. So let me show you something you can do here. There's not a standard error function built in. So if I just type in SE and come over here, I have to remind myself the formula for this. Standard error is the standard deviation divided by the square root of n. Okay, so I wanted to calculate. I'm going to put this square equals. Then I'm going to select the standard deviation square. It says B13, so it's going to go up there. And then divided by, and I happen to know that this square root function is SQRT. There it is. So I selected that, and then, oops, I just want the square root of 10. Okay, so that's how I typed in that formula. It's equals B13, the cell that has the standard deviation, divided by the square root of n. All right, now one other thing you can do that's cool is I can just copy both of those. Copy, and then come over here, click paste, and it pastes in the formulas, and it says I'm going to calculate the standard deviation of everything from 11 to 2 in the same column. So it adjusts which column it is, but it applies the same formulas. All right, so that's how you set that up. Several ways of calculating things. Over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare a small table in order to do a bar chart. Here I'm going to put in the mean. So I've just typed in the means of those two groups. And then I'm going to type in margin of error, just for my benefit here. And if you recall, margin of error is what you can use to make a confidence interval. You can do margin of error, you can write confidence interval, whatever you want, because it's not going to show up on the graph. A confidence interval is 1.96 z times standard error. So I'm going to put equals 1.96 times the standard error. And I just select standard error. I'm going to copy that using the shortcut Control-Z and paste it, Control-V. So I just copied that formula there, and it calculates it there. Now, once I have that down, to make my graph, I'm going to go here, highlight the labels and the averages, insert chart. There we go. Now, the chart it has given me looks pretty good. There are a few things I think I'm going to want to change. So if you double click it, you'll get this setup over here that allows you to modify a few things. So for example, if you want to, you can go to customize and change this to provide some axes. And so if I want to, I can do a chart title, click that. And in APA style, this is called figure 1, colon, and then you put a description of it. So you'd say mean and 95% CI for confidence interval for original and sequels. There we go. All right. For the legend is this thing up here. Generally speaking, we want that on the bottom in APA style. For the horizontal axis, if you wanted to change things, you could move in there and do that. For the vertical axis, if you wanted, you could go in and type in a title over there as well. A lot of options there, and for the most part, if you just kind of look at those things and mess around with them, they're pretty easy to figure out. Now, one of the main things that we need to do, though, is to get the error bars in. Okay. What I'm going to do here is under Customize and Series, I'm going to select Original, and I need to peek down here. The original has a margin of error, I put margin or error for some reason, of 11.12. So down here I'm going to say add an error bar. Constant 11.12. Okay. back up here, the original, and select SQL. Okay. SQL has a margin of error of 16.79, so error bars, constant, 16.79. Okay. Now at this point, I've got both groups are graphed. I've got error bars for both. They're labeled at the bottom. I have a scale over here on the side and the APA style figure. At that point, I think that's pretty much all I really need, so I'll just close out the chart editor. And in working with these guys right here, you can easily transfer these things. So if you go to copy, for example, I can now come over here and hit paste. Now I'm going to paste it unlinked. There we go. Okay, so you can even add that into a Microsoft Word doc and include that with your non-SPSS assignment. That assignment asks you to do 2 t-tests. You would just do the same thing twice. Interestingly, once you get it set up, you can actually go in and just change the data a little bit. So let's say your the second thing might be different. Let's say it's the third in a series. And then you could just go down here and type in the numbers for that. Just ignore that. You could build another graph doing something like that. All right, so that is how you do the basics in Google Spreadsheets. Excel is very, very similar. The chart thing is just slightly different. I don't feel it's different enough where I need to make a separate one for that. Give it a try. You should have 2 graphs in your SPSS assignment. Let me know if you have questions.